All right, let's talk rugby now. The Springbok side for the final on Saturday has been announced. And great news, Bongi Mbonambi has been cleared of racism allegations. So it's all systems go for hopefully our third Rugby World Cup win on Saturday. Let's break it all down with sports editor Vata Ngobeni. Vata, we spoke earlier this week and you said it was a big storm in the teacup. I think you were proven right about Bongi Mbonambi. They said, I think, basically that they could find no evidence of anything, really.
Yeah, there was insufficient evidence, Sally. And one, when you hear or when you see and hear the evidence that would have been presented, it just points to one thing: everything has been lost in translation.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm glad actually some of the English media mentioned it. You know, and they went on to say, guys, this is what the Springboks use. They use Afrikaans. Yeah. And Rassie spoke about it in the documentary Chasing the Sun after 2019 World Cup victory. And there he said, we use they're color coding to what we use. And the guys will mention the names of colors on the field. And we know that they commonly use Afrikaans as a language to speak to each other on the field.
Well, I think all England rugby lovers now know what white side is in Afrikaans. But not everyone's happy. The Rugby Football Union in England, they're coming out. What did they say today?
They're very unhappy because I think they're holding on to the whole racial thing, which is not, and unfortunately it's not true. Without the evidence, it's not true. They're standing by Tom Curry, and he's questioned to the referee.
And Tom Curry isn't that bothered because Siya Kolisi apparently phoned him and said, listen, sorry you're getting so much abuse because people are also hitting out at him.
Yeah, because Tom Curry did say after the game, it's
a non-issue,
done,
it's
happened, let's move on. And unfortunately what's happened now, there's a lot of English people that have been, abusing him and threatening him on social media and his family as well. And Siya did say that he reached out to him and said, no player deserves that, first of all. And when it moves on to your family, it's not okay. It's not okay. And as a rugby community, we need to stand up against that kind of abuse and those kind of threats. So, I think that the hatch has been buried between South Africa and England. And I'm actually glad that, again, Siya proves what a captain is, what a leader is, by reaching out to the other side. And it's very unfortunate that the Rugby Football Union has sent out the statement that they have, because I think at a time like this, we need calm heads and sanity needs to prevail.
It does seem, though, that the squad is very focused, making the point that they're at it. They are just focused on training. They're not worrying about all the noise, which is great news, because, of course, today we found out about the squad, and I think we've got all the graphics. So talk us through it. Do you believe this is the right team to secure victory? Do you think that the right choices have been made?
I think so, Sally. It's horses for courses. I feel sorry for a guy like Manili Bok and Kobus Renach that started the quarterfinal and semi-final. So it's very, very unfortunate for them. But I mean, you look at that pack of forwards. Sadly, those are stalwarts in that team. Kitsoff, Bongi Mbonambi, Frans Malherbe, Ibn Etzebeth, Franco Mostert, Siya Kolisi, Peter Steffensen, I mean, all of them part of the World Cup team that won in 2019. And then you got Faf, Handré, again, old heads, been there, done that, played in the World Cup final. Chesden, Damien, Jesse was injured. Kurtley Arons is a new face at this level of international rugby, and then you got Damien Willemse. But the biggest talking point, Sally, has been the 7-1 split on the bench.
What is 7-1? What does that mean?
7-1, you've got, you've got 8 replacements, right? And usually teams will go with 5 forwards and 3 backs as their replacements. The Springboks have bucked the trend, and they began this in 2019, where they went with the 6-2 split. And there they call them the bomb. 6 forwards, 2 backs? 2 backs, yeah. Okay. And they call it the bomb squad. The first time they tried the 7-1.
So that's 7 forwards?
Was coincidental against New Zealand, just prior to the World Cup.
Oh, hang on, how did that turn out again?
Yeah, something like 35-7.
Quite a good score.
Yeah. And
yes,
it worked.
35-7 in London. So this will be the first encounter between the Boks and the All Blacks since that humiliating defeat.
Yeah, the heaviest in history for the All Blacks.
Wow.
And they know they were lucky to even score a try. It should have been by a bigger score margin. And those pack of fours just obliterated them. When that bench came off, Sally, or came onto the field, it took the Springboks to another level. And I can tell you now, Sally, the All Blacks are hurting from that loss. You can call it a friendly, a warm-up game. There are no warm-up games between the Springboks and the All Blacks. And I think they would have been traumatized even further when they saw the 7-1 split on the bench and thought themselves over. And a guy like Andre Pollard has proven that he can do that. And yes, it's very unfortunate. And Sia spoke about the individuals who are missing out.
Yeah.
But then he said, again, they're just as important in making sure that the guys that are starting and will be playing are so well prepared that when they do eventually win, it's not just the squad that wins, but South Africa wins. It's no longer about the individual anymore. And
this, I think, speaks to his leadership as well. He's able to pull the team into that mindset. But, I mean, it must be hard for someone like Kobus Reinach because you explained he played in both the quarterfinal and the semi-final. Those are tough games. He's performed really well. Yeah. Why is he not in, do you think? I think, Sally, again, the conditions, horses for courses, they looked at the conditions and said to themselves, and what is the best setup for us to be able to beat the All Blacks? The blueprint was on the 25th of August. Why not take the same blueprint and just use it in this game? Yeah. But, I mean, someone like Manie Libbok, he's been nominated for Breakthrough Player of the Year by World Rugby, but he won't be there. And that's the kind of player I was speaking about. It's very, very unfortunate. It's hard for him. It's hard decisions that these guys have got to make. And I don't think a Jacques Nienaber and a Rassie Erasmus sit down and say, well, we'll now pick our favourite players. It's not the case, because they also want to win. They also want to make sure that South Africa wins, and the country, they again bring back hope into South Africa. So, you know, tough decisions had to be made, Sally. A lot of people, you're going to get 62 million varying teams, you know, if you ask any South African. But unfortunately, Jacques Nienaber's got to make the decisions along with Rassie and that management team. And this is a team they've presented to South Africa to play against the All Blacks. And I think the most important thing is to rally behind that. And a guy like Manie Libbok will get his accolades. You know, if the Boks win, I'm almost certain he'll become World Breakthrough Player of the Year come Sunday evening. And Eben Etzebeth will be World Rugby Player of the Year. The Springboks will be Team of the Year. Jacques Nienaber also nominated as Coach of the Year. He'll be Coach of the Year. And Sally, you and I will be waiting for them at the airport. I won't tell you when. I won't tell the public when. Let's hope so.
But I know when.
So clearly you think we're going to win. You're convinced we're going to win. So let me just ask you then, what could stop us from winning? First of all, would the biggest concern be the weather?
No, Sally. I think the weather is a leveler. But more than anything, I think the only thing that's going to stop the Springboks from winning are the Springboks themselves. I think if they overthink what they've got to do and put too much pressure on themselves and think about the All Blacks as their biggest foes and worry about too much what the All Blacks are going to do, that's the only way we'll lose this game.
I mean, both will make history. Whoever wins, history will be made because it'll be the third World Cup win.
Fourth World Cup win. Fourth. For both teams. And South Africa will be looking at back-to-back World Cups. Of course. The All Blacks did that in 2011, 2015. So there's a lot at stake. This management team is looking for back-to-back victories as well. Amazing. So Sia wants to emulate Richard McCaw. The one thing, Sally, is that the Springboks have never lost a World Cup final against the All Blacks. You know, yes, they've beaten us in 2003. They knocked us out in the quarterfinals. They beat us in 2015, the semi-finals, by 2 points.
You're still upset about that?
I'm not happy about that, Sally. And they also beat us in Japan in our opening game. And then it was said, no team has ever won a World Cup having lost a pool match. And the Springbok defied history then and did so. Both teams have now lost the pool matches and they're now meeting the final.
So I would imagine the Springboks are by no means expecting the walkover they got in London in August. Do you think it's going to be a really tight game in the end?
Everything says, Sally, it should be tight. These are two of the biggest rivals in World Rugby, and I think World Rugby wanted this final. I think they wanted it 4 years ago. Now they've got it, and they've got it in the Northern Hemisphere. Both teams very, very, closely matched. You look at the caliber of players in both sides, and you say to yourself, you couldn't have asked for a better set of players to be contesting a World Cup final. Yes, the Northern Hemisphere is not happy, Sally, but us in the South are very, very, very happy. And
we'll take that.
We hope to be much, much happier on Saturday evening without any cardiologists in the room.
Yes, well, will you have the strength to actually watch, Vata?
Oh, Sally, I hope this time I can watch. I really hope I can watch.
What kind of score are you thinking? What feels right or likely in your mind?
Sally, my mind is saying 3 to 5 points for the Springboks.
Okay, so tight.
But my heart says even a much bigger margin. More like a 35-7, something like that.
35-7? Wouldn't be a bad thing.
No.
Well, Vata, thank you so much for guiding me through all of this. It's absolutely fascinating. And I think I'm also going to be brave and watch on Saturday. Our sports editor here at eNCA, Vata Ngobeni. Now, still to